So this video was recorded live on June 8th. I just had to make sure. I'm now recording this introduction after, but what I did in this video is I wanted to call out a few specific comments that were left on my Dark Side of the Moon reaction. Now, that video was live for 3 or 4 days and got a bunch of views, a bunch of comments, but then it suddenly got blocked. So there wasn't any warning or anything, but now no one can view the video and no one can see those comments. And so I'm going to show a few of my favorite comments left on that video while it was still publicly visible to everyone. Practically Fixed also has a really cool YouTube channel, by the way. Really great. And people are writing these very long comments, which is so great. And there's so much information here. The album came with stickers inside depicting the pyramids, and you'd see them at school on a few guys' lockers. That's how we got to know each other, a secret sign, which is just awesome. Oh gosh. And when we could afford it, focused upon the audiophile experience, spent all our money on stereo equipment, gathering around, sharing our latest discoveries, and poring over album covers. It was an exciting time. God, I love this stuff. I specifically look for long comments like this and try to read and respond to all of them. But like I said, these ones all come from that video that's blocked. So I'm trying to kind of respond to this now. So over many decades, so this paragraph, I've come to appreciate Wish You Were Here even more than Dark Side. It's largely about two things: the corporate pressure to capitalize on Dark Side, and more importantly, a lamentation about their former leading man, the late Syd Barrett. Okay, so there's a bunch of information people gave me about Syd Barrett. I didn't know who that was, and so I'm learning from the comments. Syd reportedly lost his mind over some time in the early beginnings of the band and was essentially replaced by David Gilmour. Now, with the breakout of Dark Side, their minds went to Syd wishing he was there. It is even more chill than Dark Side and is brilliant. I love it, and since you liked this, I think you will enjoy it as well. So I did the reaction to Wish You Were Here. I had read a couple of comments about Syd, so I kind of knew the idea, or a couple of sentences. I don't know the full story, obviously, before I did the album. But now I'm at that point where I've Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Animals, and now I'm kind of going back through and want to do a little more deep dive. So I'm going through these comments that nobody can see. That's the first place I started. And then I want to get more into just the story of just the band in general and how their music changes over time. And a lot of the stuff I figured, since I'm going to be doing it anyway, I might just do it streaming and see if anybody wants to pop in and chat. All right, I'm going to go back to Practically Fixed here. So much has been written about this masterpiece. I cannot summarize it. The incidental voices you hear are not members of the band. The band took a tape recorder and interviewed several people around the topics such as death and the last time we were in the fight. I don't know, I was really drunk at the time. Oh yeah, I remember those voices. Okay, I know I'm mad, I've always been mad. The elderly doorman at Abbey Road was also there. Why should I be frightened of dying? There's no reason for it. You gotta go sometime. That's such a great line. Deep album about life, but just doesn't come out. Doesn't come right out and tell you. The last song always gets me. As I did long ago, listen in the dark, eyes closed, and be transported. It is wonderful. Wish You Were Here awaits peace. This is a great comment. Practically Fixed. Thank you. This comment from John, this one's great. So, yeah, Claire, the story about Claire and Dick Perry, the saxophonist, and there's a whole bunch of information here, which is crazy. And what I thought, why I mentioned this one is I didn't know this part. It looks like David Gilmour sold his guitar collection in 2019. Black and White Stratocaster he performed in 71, 72, and 73 albums. Sold for, I think that's 3.97 million. I think that's what you meant to say. And then he donated every penny he got off his guitar collection to charity to help fight the destruction of this planet. How cool is that? That is bananas. So his first Stratocaster, his serial number was 1. And it sold for $1 million. Crazy. Yeah. So I want to know more about this. I want to, that's just fascinating to me. God, the benefit of discovering or getting into this older band now is there's so much history to go through. John, thank you for that comment. All right, Rassskle, a very deep and accurate story about human life in two parts. And this is on, let me make sure. Yeah, okay, so this is again on the Dark Side of the Moon reaction that nobody can see. Brilliant and deep lyrics are not the crux or main, I think, story of the album. The music is everything. The music tells you everything, no lyrics needed. That's a bold statement. From inside your mother's womb, hearing her heartbeat, then random noises from outside to your mother's scream as you are born. And now you must breathe for yourself while learning to adjust to family, society, school, etc. Pressures of life and work keep you on the run until you run out of time and join the great gig in the sky. This was fascinating to me because I didn't look closely enough at even just the titles, or I probably would have needed this bit of explanation. The titles of the songs basically tell you the whole life story here. I turn the record over and learn about money and other evils, such as how badly we treat each other, greed, marketing, offer you any color you like, as long as it is black, and then brain damage, a reference to life's destruction of Syd's mental state. Lunatics being photographs of criminals and important people in the newspaper delivered to throw on the front lawn. Then pick it up, brought into the house where it's normally put on a table or maybe thrown on the hallway floor. This is crazy. And Eclipse is a summary of our life and a reference that not even the sun itself rules. It is eclipsed by a simple moon, back to mother's heartbeat, full circle, turn the vinyl over, and start another life. It's like a poem here, Rassskle. This is great. Thank you, Rassskle. You guys write really fantastic comments. If that wasn't obvious by now. All right, BorealisNights. All right, this one I think I'm probably just going to read. So I know it sounds good on headphones. Oh yeah, I listened on headphones, by the way. I'm 65. I was 12 when this came out. Being unprepared for the release, it took me 3 weeks to scrape together my pennies and get it. You have to remember, back then, we or our parents had big, powerful sound systems in our homes, right? And the bass that I liked so much, well, it could use a couple 100 watts behind it to make you really feel it in the music. That's another reason I want to research a little bit that quadraphonic setup just to see what that must have been like, because I haven't owned actual speakers in a really long time. Yeah, so not just for headphones, but equally as enjoyable with the windows vibrating, which I imagine the bass in this album was crazy deep. As to you not thinking you could have appreciated it when you were younger, a whole generation of us did just fine, which is amazing. Like I said, I was 12, never heard anything like it. By 15, I was listening with a bit of weed on the side. By 17, hallucinogens were helping me hear the album in new ways. Today, 65, a couple tokes while I listened with you. Canadian here, totally legal. The album is timeless, both in a personal sense of how it holds its meaning all through life, even if the full meaning changes a bit over time, but also in a societal sense. The album is as relevant to new listeners today as it was to us back then. The whole trip through life, coming to terms with money, aging, war, mental health, etc. There's fantastic. BorealisNights, thank you for that comment. It's funny because a lot of the comments mention, substances, I should say, and some are on the other side of the fence, which is good to have the counterpoint. Some people say you don't need that stuff. So to each their own. To each their own. I'm not gonna judge. David said a few words about Great Gig in the Sky. When Pink Floyd envisioned the song, they meant for it to be an instrumental. But after trying it with main instrument being Gilmour's lead guitar, the band agreed it just wasn't working. That's when Roger Waters said, let's have Claire take a run at it. And so I know some of the Claire Torrey story. I did look that up a little bit. Okay, so Claire was never a member of the band, a session singer hired for the day, specifically to sing backup. Waters suggested she take a swing at Great Gigs. He told her just to go where the music took her. Claire tried to sing the lyrics, but the band stopped immediately. Waters told her to pretend she was another instrument in the song. From there, Miss Torrey improvised her voice role in the song, and thus was born something iconic. I could not agree more. Claire brought the lawsuit against Floyd in the early 2010s, seeking compensation for a role on the album. I think she was paid, what, like 30 bucks or 30 pounds, whatever it was. The equivalent of $80, apparently, for the day's work. So she felt she was owed a royalty. She became the main voice and took the creative direction on that song. And Pink Floyd settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. David, thank you for that comment. God, you guys, these comments are so good. I just want like people to realize the stuff that I get to see. I don't know if everybody goes through and looks at comments on these, but there's just one of the best parts of doing music reactions is that people recommend other music or other bands that you can find. Like that was number one for me. But then this kind of stuff where people would just give you so much information to make the experience even better. Chris, this is a great one. French man born in 1972. My parents listened to music 24/7 at home. No TV until I was 14. Die-hard Floyd fans. I'm jealous of people who are listening to this album for the very first time. Jealous of those discovering it at an age where they can still be surprised in the best possible way. Jealous of that discovery of this masterpiece. This kind of reaction video is a great way to get close to that feeling, so thank you for that. You're welcome, Chris. Thank you for this comment. And then on the flip side, I'm fully aware of the incredible gift my parents gave me by training my ears and listening habits to this kind of music. There's plenty more besides Floyd with an insane amount of variety. Chris then goes on, I was lucky enough to experience this sort of second discovery of the Great Gig in the Sky when I was a teenager. Undoubtedly, the track I've listened to most in my life over these past 54 years. I'm not ashamed to admit. It has sometimes moved me to tears. I also discovered the story behind this track much later on the internet. In fact, it's quite striking to realize how deeply this song pierced right through me. Even before I knew what it meant, I couldn't understand the spoken words in the introduction. Incredible. I agree 100%. I mean, the first time I listened to music anyway, I'm not really paying attention to the lyrics, but I mean, Claire's voice in particular just got me with that one. Another point that seems important to mention, while this album should really only be listened to in its entirety without interruption, or at least the very least respecting the track order, and even though Great Gig in the Sky is also for me the best track on the album and most beautiful piece of music of all time, its integration between what comes before and what follows the album is vital. This is especially true for the track Time, which is also a musical treasure to me, paired with a profound meaning, something that may have escaped me when I was younger, didn't understand English. However, there too, discovering the lyrics made perfect sense. I really believe that a major part of what you feel when listening to The Great Gig in the Sky comes from how perfectly it flows right after Time. Thanks again. Chris, you just made the case for listening to albums just straight through. My Owl Has Antlers is the handle here. And I don't know, this person has had some of my favorite comments I've gotten. I think I took another screenshot of it, but they left a comment. I think it was on a sleep token, a post or something. Oh, God, it was so funny. And so this one I got to read. Real true facts. You are legally not allowed to get officially certified as a bassist unless you have gone to a guitar center and played money slightly off tempo, much to the annoyance of the closest underpaid employee. Oh, God. There's been some back and forth about updating the bylaws to change the song to Seven Nation Army, although this has been hotly contested as the original track was played on guitar, so for the moment, the rule stands. Am I the only one that finds this amusing? Oh, God, it's so funny. All right, Time is probably the song I've listened to the most in my lifetime. As a bored teenager in high school, I used to write the entirety of the lyrics in marker upside down on my jeans instead of paying attention in class. It would always come out in the wash and only to redo it. Some 30 years later, I draw on my clothing marginally less. And Time is currently the only song I can play on bass and sing at the same time. So good. These comments are so good. FD1930 says, I'm catching up here, but to the guy who said he listened in the dark with his eyes closed, if your eyes were closed, what was the point of being in the dark? Thank you, everybody, for watching my Dark Side of the Moon reaction while it was live, and for leaving all those comments. And thanks to everybody for joining the live, specifically Elva Trenny 413 for your super chat, and Official Divine Adventures for your super chat. Thank you so much. So as I go through more of the Pink Floyd albums, one thing I want to do is a bit more research, like looking up the lyrics and stuff. So I would normally do that on my own, but since it's thing I'm going to be doing, I figured I'll probably be doing that online streaming. I'll try to get streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and hopefully Patreon if I can manage that. And then if people want to just pop in and say hi while I'm looking up lyrics or whatever kind of deep dive into like the quadraphonic thing or Syd Barrett or any of the other storylines related to Pink Floyd, people can just pop in and say hello. And that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few days or a couple of weeks, as long as I'm on this, Floyd kick. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.